Alright, everyone, we now are on episode 18, and now I'm starting to wonder, is the basketball opening going to be there every time now? It's like kind of like, okay, we moved on from the Cylons are done. Alright. But now that we've moved on, they seem to be struggling to find kind of a thing to catch the audience and draw you in to watch, and they seem to be doing basketball. The introduction is really rough unless you have a craving, a desire to watch people watching a pretend sport. See, there are people pretending to watch a pretend sport, and they're not that good of actors to begin with. Some of them aren't bad, but I mean, most of the good ones are in the theater thingy playing the game. So yeah, it's a pretty painful opening, to be honest. There is a fight, there's a ruckus, someone gets killed, and it turns into a murder episode. I would say it builds on the characters, but honestly, I think it's a bit of a stretch. I don't really see it as building anything. It kind of builds into the story about what happened on Caprica. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of a trial. I don't know how to say it. It's like a trial episode, murder mystery. From that perspective, it's kind of cool. It's definitely not your typical episode. And yet, at the same time, it is. Because the driving element behind this story is very, very trite when it comes to TV shows. Every TV show seems to do this episode, and you're just like, is this in a how to make a TV show guide to build a connection with characters? Because honestly, I don't know. What I do know is that I did not enjoy it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not a bad episode, don't get me wrong. It has a compuper. Man, you would not believe how advanced these computers are getting. They keep changing every day. That is a line from this, and they were walking into a room with a computer that looks like it is I have no idea. Whoever built this show did not have a lot of imagination when it came to technology, because the Cylons are these super advanced robots, and yet no one has cameras. Their investigative methodology is odd, to say the least, and their compuper is super advanced. It has 3 megabytes of data, and I'm being a little silly because they don't actually say the number, but I mean, it's pretty painful. And by pretty painful, I mean really painful. They did have a kind of cool gizmo where they're touching their hands and saying their name, but I mean, at the time of making this show, I think we had better technology in the real world. It wasn't common, it wasn't normal, but I mean, I think they had hand scanners and voice recognition things, so I don't even feel like that was original. It's a really kind of generic story. So I'm already going longer than I wanted to, so let's just wrap it up. 3 out of 5, maybe leaning towards the 2 out of 5, but I think honestly I just don't like the subject of this episode. There's nothing really wrong with it, and in some ways you can kind of get this interesting hint at a story. The story definitely leans towards the 4, but it doesn't make it. Editing, acting, it's the guest actors are not, there's no one strong, and if there's no strong guest actor, there's only a couple really strong main characters, and yeah, they're not really driving this story. So yeah, let's see. Visually, I don't think there was absolutely anything to this episode worthy of mention. And with that, we are going to wrap it up. You guys have a good one.